Thanks for joining us. Just to get started here, this event is to introduce the Sligo Leitrim Energy Agency and Retrofit Ready project to the community in Sligo and Leitrim. And if anyone's joining from further afield, that's okay too. We don't mind. So just to go through the agenda. So what we're going to look at first is we're going to have a chat from Barry and Kevin in the Sligo Leitrim Energy Agency, followed by Eve and Kyle from the Retrofit Ready project. And then what we might do is hold all the questions until the end, if that's okay. So we'll go through the presentations, and then at the end we can open up, unmute and put your cameras on and have a chat and ask any questions that you might have. So before we get started, I'm just going to introduce myself. So I'm Paul McNama, and I'm the mentor for the Leitrim region. I'm also joined by Ken from the Sligo mentor in the ATU as well. So I don't know, Ken, do you want to say hello, or are you okay?
Yeah, no, hi everybody. As SEC mentors and part of the CRU, we support both of these projects, and I'm happy that we're at this stage after a lot of hard work from Paul and Mel and Stevie and Eve and all the rest of the team. So yeah.
Thanks, Ken. So currently, I think somebody might be unmuted there. Yeah. So currently we have 12 SECs in Leitrim and 13 in Sligo. I'll add a link to the chat after where you can go and have a look and see your local SECs on the little map that you can see to the right. So yeah, let's get started. So I'm going to ask Barry if he can get started. Just ask me, Barry, when you want to change the slides, and I can move them on for you.
Barry, you're on mute.
Okay, guys, we start again. Hi, my name is Barry Lowe. I work with the Sligo Leitrim Energy Agency along with my colleague Kevin Callaghan and Fiona Dunleavy. We just got our feet under us the last couple of weeks, getting moving, and I just run through a couple of slides to explain what our aims and objectives are and what we intend to do. So next slide, please, Paul. So the Sligo Leitrim Energy Agency was established to inform homeowners of their grant entitlements and support them in their decision-making process regarding home energy upgrades. We aim to enhance the capacity of the local supply chain and coordinate the interaction between the sectors. Next slide. And don't worry, guys, I'm not going to bore you with a whole lot of slides and just reading through them, but we'll just go through them quickly. Now we'll go through the overall objectives of the agency is to establish and operate integrated home renovation services in the target region, which will activate homeowners to invest in energy retrofitting. It's really about cutting through the noise that's out there, letting people know exactly what they're entitled to, making what seems like a very complicated process as simple as possible. We will work with the local market actors who are the contractors and the BER assessors in the target region, which is Sligo Leitrim, to develop more integrated services for home assessments and retrofitting. We'll this point 3 now is about finance, and we'll exploit existing and emerging national grant schemes and financial options available to homeowners. For example, offers from banks and offers from credit unions, which by the way are sadly at the moment are very, very poor. Some of the credit unions are up to 6.5–7%, which seems crazy. But there is another government scheme going to be introduced very soon, and they're talking about rates of 1.5–2%. So that should be very attractive. But like everything else, it's on the long finger. And unfortunately, I think because of the rise in the interest rates in the ECB recently, that's not helping either. So point 4 is to develop and deliver a pipeline of area-based home retrofit projects. So next slide, please, Paul. So the eligible sector, it's actually true to say with the new grant structure, everybody is eligible, but different people are eligible at different rates. So we just we'll just go through the different types of eligibility for a particular scheme, which is called it's called the Community Grant Scheme. Sorry, the Community Energy Grant Scheme, which was known as the BEC. So under this, you normally put a suite of measures together, and that would be residential, which can include local authority homes, private business, voluntary organizations such as housing associations, and public sector buildings such as libraries, fire stations. And you group these different sectors together, and you go to we go to SEAI with the proposal to upgrade a number of different, like I said, homes, private businesses, voluntary organizations, and possibly public sector buildings. Next one, Paul, please. So this is just a snapshot of what kind of, there's a whole slew of grants available. I didn't want to put them all on here, but we can supply anybody with that information if they need it. But for example, if somebody wants to get their attic done, they can get funding of €1,300 for a semi-detached house, or €1,500 for a detached house. Next one is cavity wall insulation, semi-detached 1,200, detached 1,700. Then external wall insulation, which is known as the RAP. Again, semi-detached, there's a €6,000 grant, and detached is an €8,000 grant. Heat pump installation, 6,500, and a technical assessment is 2,000. Now these are set rates, regardless of the size of the house. That is the amount of money that you're entitled to for the upgrade. So the next one, Paul, please. Again, under the community scheme, there are different rates available for different sectors. So public, that should actually say, that says public and private sector. We shouldn't have put private sector in there. That's a mistake, and I'm sorry. Public sector, 30% of eligible costs. Community sector, which is non-commercial, which would be like an ordinary community centre, any kind of a community group, a local hall, they're entitled to up to 50% of eligible cost. Now, a community centre which runs a commercial operation are just, that would be, for example, if they're using the community centre to make money, for example, running a creche out of it or something like that, they're entitled to 30% of eligible costs. And all these projects must be completed within a 12-month period. Next one, please, Paul. That's it, guys. Any questions you guys have, we can chat. We can chat at the end of the presentation.
Thanks, Barry. That's great. Yeah, if you don't mind, we'll hold the questions till the end, and we'll just get through the presentations. I expect there should be a good bit of chat at the end. So I have a feeling if we were to stop now and ask Barry questions, we mightn't get very far. So
sure, yeah.
Thanks, Barry. So moving on, I'm going to introduce Eve and Kyle from the Retrofit Ready project. So Eve, whenever you're ready.
Thanks, Paul, and Eve Hughes. It's lovely to be here just to introduce the project. Much like Barry, I'll try not to bore you with too much talk, but I just wanted to read this synopsis of the project because it sums it up really well and it gives a good outline of what it's all about. So the project was launched on the 5th of May by Minister Eamon Ryan here at the ATU here in Sligo. But the Retrofit Ready is a community-led awareness raising measure for home retrofit scale-up. The programme strives to facilitate eligible organisations to collaboratively support tools, know-how and approaches to assist local communities to tackle climate action. The initiative is part of the Community Climate Action Programme Strand 2, which focuses on climate education, capacity building and learning by doing, moving beyond raising awareness to building the knowledge, skills, attitudes and values necessary to respond to the challenges of climate change at a community level. Retrofit Ready will work directly with active communities to develop bottom-up tools and processes which empower communities to engage in home and building retrofitting. And the project was developed by a consortium consisting of, actually you could move on to the next slide there, please, Paul. It consists of the ILDN, the 4 members of the local development companies, Sligo Leader Partnership, Leitrim Development Company, Cavan County Local Development and Monaghan Integrated Development with Plan Energy and ATU. The consortium are grateful for Pobble for the funding support which makes this work possible. So next slide, please, Paul. The project overview, really the priority themes here are home energy and local climate and environmental action. The target region is Sligo, Leitrim, Cavan and Monaghan, 4 border counties which have, we're talking about in and around 110,000 homes with 40 existing sustainable energy communities. Now that number is rising all the time, hopefully, as more and more communities want to get on board this fantastic programme that's happening. The challenges, however, are that this is a transition region, so there's a lower than average gross domestic product, and the gap between homeowners and retrofitting services is stark, actually. So next slide there, please, Paul. The programme team structure, as I outlined, the ILDN, the 4 LDCs, ATU and Plan Energy are heading the project. The technical support is provided by Plan Energy and the ATU, specifically the CRU, the Contract Research Unit here within the ATU, and we're giving technical support for the development and grant applications to the 2 retrofit champions, one of whom I'll introduce to you now in a second. And the retrofit advocacy champions, the local SEC community network liaison, they will directly support the community projects and coordinate retrofitting events. Okay, next slide, please, Paul. So I'd like to introduce you to Kyle Flynn, who is our retrofit champion for Sligo Leitrim.
So good evening all. So I'll be going around to all the different communities in Sligo and Leitrim, and we'll be going around and organising sort of meet the builder events, where we'll have contractors from different areas such as insulation, heat pumps, etc., where the public can come in, talk to them, ask them questions, and we'll have different talks there from maybe SEAI and ourselves to explain the different grant forms that are available to them. So our first event is in Glenfarne on the 19th of July. And you're all welcome to attend if it suits.
Great. We also have a champion for Cavan Monaghan, whose own McNama, who you may get to meet at some point in the future at another webinar. Okay, next slide, please, Paul. The project delivery, it's capacity building at community level. So we'll establish liaison with the sustainable energy communities and other community groups such as housing associations, etc. So the community engagement and training events, and they'll provide home retrofitting advocacy service. So it's an honest broker type of approach, giving the advice and delivering it to people at community level. The technical support to the community retrofit champions is provided by the CRU team. So training on home energy upgrades, grant schemes and financial options, design projects, building tools and processes, for example, expressions of interest and mixed funding options. And of course, it's the whole project is learning by doing. So local community home retrofitting project workshops such as application workshops, grant workshops and seeking quotations. And it's an area-based project meet the buyer events, energy suppliers and strategic partners. The emphasis being on community level. Okay, so next slide, please, Paul. Just a little bit more in depth about the project delivery is this is an example of the workflow where the initial assessment, where the expressions of interest are will lead to a categorization of needs, and that will identify the routes to retrofitting. So the the local project building, the routes to retrofitting would be to establish through who would qualify for the warmer home scheme, the individual upgrades, or for a deeper investment for a one-stop shop. So the type of projects that would be built would be the energy poor homes, the likes of the warmer homes application workshops to assist people with the warmer homes applications, guidance on home energy use as well, to enlighten people on where to maybe save a bit of energy, and the lower investment, the individual house grants, the meet the buyer events, application workshops, seeking quotations and guidance on loans would be for the lower investment, and they would be the type of projects that the guys will be aiming towards doing. And for the higher investment, the National Housing Retrofit Strategy, or the one-stop shop, where we could group together an area-based bunch of homes and looking at seeking strategic partnership with the one-stop shop or obliged suppliers. So there's the spectrum of the grants that are available that the two champions, both Kyle and Owen, will deliver on getting the information out there through workshops to assist people on each and every grant that's available. And that's it, really. I think that's the end of my bit of the presentation. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Eve, and thanks very much, Kyle. So that is us now. We're ready to move on to the questions and answers. So if feel free to.
Can I just put in there for 2 seconds, Paul?
Of course you can.
I don't know if it's possible. Ivan Spruill just text me to see if you could send him the link. Maybe you don't have. Maybe it's not possible now, is it?
I can send him a link. Yeah. So what I'll do is I'm going to unshare my screen and go see if I can find Ivan's email address and send him the link. Give me 2 seconds there.
Thanks very much. Yeah.
So while I'm doing this, feel free to unmute yourselves, turn your camera on, and ask a question to the team if you have something you'd want to ask. Open discussion now. I did see a few hands popping up during the talk, so feel free to ask any questions. Yeah, go on ahead, feel free.
Hi, Paul. Basil Love is my name. I'm the lead instructor in the new NZ Retrofit Centre based in Colony with MSL ETB. Just to say we're getting off the ground. Anyone that's involved in this project is welcome to come out and see what we're doing out there, and is you're welcome to use the facility for training or anything like that, in going forward.
That's great. I actually, yeah, I think we've been trying to look at arrange a visit out, and I definitely think for the community groups it'd be great to organise an evening or a day out to see what you have on offer. To be honest, it'd be really good to get that set up and running. I will definitely touch base with you after this about that.
Okay.
That's great, Basil. That sounds really good.
Sorry, Basil, can I come in here just to ask, where are you located?
Just on Union Road in Colony, just behind the tailing centre there.
All right, okay.
The postcode is F91E161.
E161, right, okay. Thank you. That's great.
Okay, anyone else got any other questions? Or anything they want to say? Seamus, I see you have your hand up, work away.
Yeah, I was just wondering what grants might be available for maybe older buildings that are BER exempt. I'm just thinking, that BER of B2 is very ambitious for older houses unless you went for external insulation. So, is there any exception or any possibilities for houses that are in that category?
So so in that case, you can do individual measures. Yeah. and you can get individual granted for individual measures. You don't have to do it as a package. So, for example, you can still get, for an older house, you can still get your €1,200 for your attic. I assume there's not going to be cavity wall in it when it's an older house, but you can get internal. Pardon me, stone.
There could be cavities that the rats and mice are running through, but not your official cavity.
But you can still get a number of individual grants. Like I said, attic insulation, internal wall insulation, PV. Well, you wouldn't be going the PV route probably, but there are a range of individual grants available. What were you thinking of?
Possibly internal wall or maybe attic. You know.
Yeah, well, you can definitely get the individual grants for those two measures.
Seamus, the SEAI, I'd have to say, over the last 12 months, I'm involved in this over a couple of years, but I'd have to say the SEAI have fairly stepped up to the mark with their website over the last 12 months. And if you go in there, you can literally access anything you want, and it's updated all the time with the different grants and, you know, how you access all of that.
Yeah, it's all there. Yeah.
Seamus, you could still get to a B2 with an older house as well. Just with, you know, doing your internal insulation, attic insulation, windows and doors, you'll still get up to a B2, particularly if you're changing your heat source. Sometimes it involves getting rid of your fireplaces and things like that, but it's very possible to get up to a B2.
Good.
It is a massive hurdle, Seamus, and one that we've come up against before, that B2. And as the lads were saying, there are options around it, but yeah, it is a massive hurdle. So I see a hand up. Aideen, do you want to unmute?
Okay. Just wondering, with the two organisations, how you're going to work together, because there seems to be a fair amount of overlap, and I'm just wondering, who do you go to first, or what is your, you know, what is the situation there?
I think I can get that one. So, Retrofit Ready is advisory. The Sligo Leitrim Energy Agency will physically get the work done. So you might go to Retrofit Ready for advice on your home, like Seamus just got, but when it comes to actually getting the work done, you could go to the Sligo Leitrim Energy Agency for that advice and some sort of connection up, maybe even. But if anyone else wants to answer that as well, feel free.
Well, why does it need, I'm not too sure, why does it need two organisations? That seems to be an added complication to the thing, if you have to do the whole thing twice, you know.
Well, Barry and Kevin and the team could be very busy talking to people and not actually getting the work moving and done. As for that is their key focus, to get projects up and running.
Okay.
As for having the community, people in the community like Kyle and Owen, to do that work with them is crucial. It's that energy champion in your local community.
Oh, I see. Yes, yes.
We're starting at community level, really. That's the starting point, through the SEC program, through connections with people on the ground. That's our starting point, whereas Barry would be from the other end, as it were, I suppose.
Right.
So it's we're getting out and having events, inviting people to come, and little by little, from community to community, building on that from the ground up, and especially using the Sustainable Energy Community Network to spread the word and to gather and to have small events happening on an ongoing basis to just inform people.
And
right, so it's kind of awareness raising and education that you're involved with.
Yeah.
And also, I'd just like to mention that Retrofit Ready are doing quite a bit of work on social media as well, and so are Sligo Leitrim Energy Agency. So by all means, feel free to connect with them on the different platforms and like and share and engage with them if you can.
Okay.
Billy, I see you have your hand up as well.
What are the range of community buildings you talk about? You mentioned halls. What about schools, churches, that kind of things?
Any of the above, Billy, yes. Schools are available schools are eligible. We have done churches before. So yes, they're all open for discussion.
Okay, thanks.
No bother.
Perfect. Seamus, do you have your hand up again, or is that from the previous? You're muted, but I think that's from the previous.
Yeah, that was up for the previous one. Yeah, it's gone now.
Perfect. Anyone else have anything that they would like to ask the guys, or even what they would like to see, how they would like to see themselves engaged to it? Basil has mentioned the centres in Callaghan. Would you be interested in me as a mentor for Leitrim, for example, organising a day trip, or not a day trip, but an hour or two out to visit them? Is that something that you would like to see within? I see some nodding heads. That's a good sign, and I presume the same in Sligo. If anyone from Sligo wants to say yes or no, touch base with us, talk to us, and we can organise that. That's not a problem. We can also run events like this to build awareness. That's no problem either. So just contact us, make contact. We can work with you. So I'll ask one more time, any more questions? And if not, we'll leave it. Okay, I think we're okay. Thanks everyone for joining us. This is a nice quick meeting. It's nice to have a nice quick meeting at 7 o'clock, 6:30 in the evening. So yeah, thanks, and we'll see you for the next one. Talk to you all soon.
Thank you.
And may I just
Okay,
say
Paul.
very good luck to both organisations that are. I think you're starting off on a project that is going to be challenging at times, definitely. You know, so yeah, good luck.
Thanks,
you,
Aidan.
Aidan.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
everyone.
Thank you. Bye.